Is the internet working? Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. I think we're live. My screen's frozen and stuff, but I think we're good. So you can let me know in the comments if we're not. I'm sorry. This is the breakdown. It's Sunday evening, and it's another. So, just where do you even start? Like, it's been a real frustrating week because you had two very tough games, but it feels like missed opportunity because it feels like we should have got at least a point from both games. That makes it problematic. That makes it, and when we're in the position that we're in, that makes it difficult. Let me know in the comments because my screen has all just gone off. So you're going to have to let me know in the comments, and I'm going to have to go in on my phone to double check where we are because everything's just gone off. I think we're live. I'm going to act like we're live. I'm going to keep going. And look, again, I don't want it to just be like a massive rant. I think there was parts of Cardiff's play yesterday which was decent, and we looked all right. But it's these defensive mistakes are a big issue, and they will continue to be an issue. You cannot give teams a constant lead. We said it on Tuesday with Burnley. We said it again yesterday. You know, you're giving a team like Sunderland at home this, like a 1-goal lead. You can't do that. They're too good. You know, they've got too much quality. We've done well to get back into the game, and then it just kind of all falls apart from there. Let's see if we're live, because I just look like I'm frozen. Hopefully you can hear me at least. Right, got audio. That's okay. The video will catch up in a minute, I think. Look, I'm incredibly frustrated about it. And the kind of tagline which I've gone with for the show tonight is, because I saw a lot of people on social media and stuff yesterday blaming Riza and it's this and it's that and he's not good enough and that. And I just think, look, and we will talk about it in depth. I think there's elements of some of the decisions and tactics yesterday which I think are problematic and probably didn't build on some of the good things that we had done during the game. But I also think as a manager, and this is something I've talked about before, as a manager, you can pick the side, you can go through the tactics, you can drill everything, you can blah, 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 do all that. But it's the players on the pitch who then are responsible for implementing those tactics, implementing everything. But also, you can't control, like, Omar Riza cannot control the strikers not taking chances. He cannot control the defenders making mistakes. He cannot control the midfield giving the ball away. Like, they are individual mistakes and collective mistakes that he cannot control. So I kind of wanted to go through a few different things with it. And people will probably laugh at this because I've been banging on about Will Fish for what feels like all season. I cannot understand. So Tuesday, first half, our defense was horrific. The shape of it, we were all over the place. We just looked like we didn't have a clue what we were doing. We had no sort of control, and we just looked all over the place. Will Fish comes on, we look better. First couple of minutes of the second half, we still looked a bit shaky. But then as the Burnley game, second half against Burnley, we were really good defensively then, and we should have gone on and got at least a point. I'm expecting Will Fish to start yesterday. I also feel, and I'm reluctant to criticise Gutas because I really like him. I like his attitude. I like the way he is. He goes about his business. He's like a professional. He's got a great attitude. He plays for the badge. He always gives 100%. So I am reluctant to criticise him. But I do feel that probably for the last month or so, he hasn't been at the standard that he's previously set. And when you're in a relegation fight and you've had issues with defensive concentration, you've probably got to go with. I understand being loyal to players, and if everyone has a bad day or a bad game now and again, of course, fine. But generally speaking, I think you've got to go with form. The ball watching on Tuesday against Burnley was straight out of high school for the first goal. Honestly, I think both goals from memory, but I haven't seen ball watching like that for a long time. And we did it again yesterday. And that's a real basic thing. So Joe Bagan, I've got a video coming out this week on Joe Bagan. He's had a real breakout season. He's been absolute quality. It seemed to get in his head a little bit when he gave the ball away for I think it's the first goal. But that'll happen with young players. You can, it is what it is. Defensively, we're all over the shop again. We don't take care with the football enough for me. And for a team that's so full of technically good players, it's puzzling to me why. Because I look at that team on paper, you've got Chambers is good on the ball, Mansverk's good on the ball. You've got all these different players who are good footballers, technically. So is it nerves? Is it anxiety? Like, why can we not hold on to the ball? How Wirth makes me nervous when teams are pressing us and stuff. And it's just, it's one of them. So a few people have asked me, like, do I want Omar Riza in next year? Blah, blah, blah. I'll reserve judgment on that until the season's over, because I've seen a lot of positives. And then there's other things where I'm like, not sure. And then generally speaking, I think he's done a good job in very difficult situation. He's made some errors. And, I'm sure he would be the first to admit that. A couple of times, the Bristol City game springs to mind, where we've gone like 5 at the back, or we've gone defensive a bit early. I didn't really understand. I understood taking Robinson off because he looked out on his feet. He'd worked hard. He was knackered. I didn't really understand going 3 at the back at that point. So going 3 at the back can be an attacking substitution. You can go, push your wing backs up, and it can create more numbers in the final third and be an attacking option. But it felt like a defensive option. And I actually think a lot of our players are suited more to that kind of 3-4-2-1. But you've got to, I said this so much last season under Errol Bullock, when you're playing through a press and when you're passing the football, you've got to pass with purpose. And sometimes, particularly in the early parts of games, because we seem to take a long time to get going, it seems to take us 40 to 60 minutes to really kick into our stride. And we'll be very lackluster in the pace of our passing and movement, and it's all a bit sideways and backwards. This championship season, going into the Burnley game, I was pretty confident we were going to stay up, because I always felt like there was 3 teams worse than us. Results go against us over the next 7 days, and we could be bang back in it. But also, if we pick up 2 wins in the next 7 days, we'll kind of pull away. We're lucky in some ways that those 2 defeats, results didn't kill us elsewhere. The frustrating thing is, away to Sunderland and home to Burnley, it's 2 really tough games. And I said on Monday, I would have taken 2 points from those 2 games. We got 0. But if you look at it from try and sort of take any emotion out of it, which is very difficult because everyone's frustrated, panicky, and the rest of it. The Burnley game, we should have got at least a point from by the performance from the second half. Are you unlucky? Maybe, you get the bar, the post, but you've got to take those chances. Salich hits the post again yesterday. If that goes in, it's a different game. Really pleased for Isaac Davis to get a start and then get his goal. Hopefully that can help him kick on. Knows where he is contract-wise now as well. And I just feel like I said the other week that Omar Risa's looking for the right combinations and the right pieces in the right places for the right games. I'm not sure, and it's a bit of a shame because I like both. I'm not sure if Chambers and Manswerk as a two is the way to go, because I'm not sure that we've got the penetration to break the lines with the passing. Whereas when we had who did we play against Villa, like Ramsey and Ruben, when they got on the ball, even in the first half, even in a game where we didn't really create a lot, when they got on the ball, they're looking to pass it forward and release the wingers. And I think Chambers and Manswerk, generally speaking, and this is a general thing, they'd look into maybe more Chambers, but they're looking to keep hold of the ball. And you don't have that like penetrating pass to take a couple of players out of the game and hit teams on the break. Good to see that Alves is back in the squad after an injury. He'll be a big addition. We need pace, and that's something that we've got to make sure, I think, that we get. Is we need to, particularly in the away games, but in both games, I think we've got to have pace in the wide areas. I was a little bit surprised to see Ruben wide and Robinson in the 10, if I'm honest. I felt like Robinson has played off the left quite successfully in his career. So I understood getting him in with Salic. So if you're not going to play him as a two up front, playing Robinson off the left would have been way for me to go. Ruben, I think, can be an asset off the wide areas, maybe particularly if he's got like an overlapping fullback with him, but he's definitely better in those kind of central areas if you can get his decision making spot on. But the one thing you don't want in a relegation battle and running, any type of running where you're playing for something, whether it's relegation or titles or playoffs or whatever, you need your defense to be solid. And we had a couple of games where we looked like we had stopped making those silly mistakes and switching on. But we've just 2 games in a row, 2 big games, 2 tough games. Like, particularly when you're playing teams who are difficult to play against and have got good players, you can't be making those mistakes. You've got to be switched on at all times. And we did it against Burnley. We did it against Sunderland yesterday. It's an issue. And obviously, Omar Riza picks the team. And as I said, I like a lot of the stuff which he's done. But he's got to get the selection right. And unless Will Fisher's got some sort of knock, which they've got to manage, I can't really understand why he's not in there, because he's looked our best, like out and out defender in terms of winning headers and just defending. Not saying he's the best defender we got. Not saying, he's irreplaceable or he's the greatest defender ever, but I think he puts his head in there. And I just think, I also, by the way, think Sunderland are nowhere near where they were last year in terms of quality. Thought they looked much better when we played them last year. I'm not a fan of, and this is like, sometimes you've got to do it. Sometimes it's the right decision. Not a massive fan of switching to 3 at the back mid-game. I don't mind when we start, particularly if we can get the personnel right. I think at the moment, we're getting the personnel wrong, maybe, with that 3 at the back. Like, what I would like to see is 3 solid centre-backs, and then depending on the opposition, maybe slightly more aggressive wide players. I floated the idea last week, and I'll be interested in what you guys think of this then. I'll put this to you. If we were going to say when we play Luton, if we go 3 at the back and we go with wing backs, I think we should go Bagan as the left side centre back, Fish in the middle, and then argue amongst yourselves for the right centre back, whether it's Lawler, whether it's, it's a big ask of Lawler, in fairness, whether it's NG or Gutas, one of them. Left wing back, Calabo Dowda. Right wing back, Cian Ashford. Does the work to get up and down positionally and defensively. All right, he's not an out-and-out defender, but you don't, as long as he gets back in position, he's good. He's got quite a high percentage of winning the ball back and things like that. He's got the right attitude and he's got the fitness and the pace to get up and down and be an attacking asset, but also get back in to be a defensive asset. So they would be my wing backs at home against Luton. And then midfield, I'm going, right, I'd like to see Manswerk in there probably. And I'd probably go with Ramsey for his control and his ability. And then in those two off the striker, I'm probably going Alves and Ruben at the moment. Because although Alves and Robertson, the reason I've sort of lent towards Ruben and Alves is because I thought they were starting to develop a nice little partnership and link-up play. I think he cool. But in order for Ashford, I think Martin's just said there, you take away his attacking threat. But the point of a wing back is that they're supposed to be your wide attacking threat. Like they're supposed to be up like wingers and then back like defenders. Obviously in a sort of 3-4-2-1, which we tend to play, they then line up more alongside the midfield and then they'll drop in to make a 5 when you're really defending. I just think that it's tricky because NG can do the right wing back role, as can Rinamoto, but I'm not sure how much they offer from an attacking point of view. Dowda is a natural winger, so he'll get up and forward. I just believe that might be the way to go if we're going to go with these three at the back. One of the things which I think Riza did really, really well in the good spells he's had, so sort of the start of his reign and then post-Christmas, is he went with round pegs in round holes, which kind of contradicts what I've just said by playing a winger at right wing back. So, and I know Cian's got a bit of a back strain, or something going on with his back at the moment, which is restricting him. I would like to see us just go round pegs, round holes. So home game Tuesday, let's just go if he wants to keep Gutas in there, fine, go Gutas, Fish, Bagan at left back, NG right back. That's your back four. They're all defenders. They all know their jobs. They all know their roles. They all understand their roles. They all know how to defend. They've grown up doing it. And then go with two midfielders, number 10, who's a number 10, a left winger in Dowda or whoever, Alves, and right winger who's a right winger, and round pegs and round holes. Don't overcomplicate it. So, is the fan frustration from last night aimed at the manager? And ultimately, the manager makes the decisions, doesn't he? So my kind of view on it is similar to Errol Bullock last year. I said, look, I can see what he's trying to do, but he's not devoid of, you can't excuse, or you can't, he's not devoid of criticism at the end of the day. And there was elements of it yesterday which I thought maybe he got wrong. And look, it's easy for me to say sat here, and it's easy to say watching your TV, and it's easy to say in hindsight, I don't see him train all week, so I haven't got that kind of information to base it on. Purely you're basing it on, performances and games that we watch. I just felt we're not learning from some aspects of stuff. Like, if you speak to most ex-players, particularly defenders, they like the consistency of playing with the same centre-back partner or the same back four, same keeper. Like, they like that sort of repetitive nature, so they can build relationships. So look, Ethan Hovarth's going to be in goal because he's the goalkeeper. Perry NG deserves to be back in the starting 11 at right back. Rita Motor had looked a bit tired and mentally, and also I think he's got an injury. So Perry NG back in form, right back, no problem. O'Dowda being one of our better players, he, fully understand him being the left back, even though if everybody's fit, I'm probably putting a natural left back there. But I understand it, and I don't mind O'Dowda there for most games. I like Bagan. I like having a left-footed centre-back. I think he's really good defensively. I think he's aggressive. He's good on the ball. Yes, there's a bit of a clanger, but that was kind of because of the ball that was given to him and the pressure that he was under. It wasn't just on him. But a young player is always going to take that kind of to heart or whatever. And so it's interesting, right? Like just looking on SofaScore now at the team from yesterday and looking at the ratings. Gutas got a 7.3. Only Callum Chambers had a higher rating than him for yesterday's game. I just didn't see that. Like, I'd be interested in what you guys think. I didn't see that at all. Same with Chambers got a 7.5. I didn't see that at all. I thought Isaac Davis did a good job. I thought Ruben was decent. I thought Mansberg was a little bit less effective than he has been. I thought O'Dowda was good. I thought NG was good. The centre-back duo I didn't think were great. And I thought Salic put a good shift in. Very unlucky to hit the post. But I feel like you need the spine of your team to be established and be almost like a line of players or a spine of players that if they're fit, you ain't dropping them, you ain't rotating them. If they're fit to play, they play. Now, obviously, Aaron Ramsey would be one of that spine, but he cannot play 3 games a week. We know this. We don't want him to play 3 games a week because we don't want to. You need to manage his minutes and his fitness and stuff. Fine. Salic is fast made the number 9 spot his own, which is really interesting because Callum Robinson's had a really good season. But you've got to go where you've got to go. The wide options are fascinating because you've got so many of them. You've got Isaac Davis, you've got Tanner coming back to fitness, you've got Ashford, you've got Alves. Ruben played there wide yesterday. Callum Robinson, there's so many wide players. So on the centre-back thing, it's interesting because I thought Bagan didn't have his best game. I thought Gutas was not great, and I thought Chambers wasn't great. So what do you do with the centre-back pairing for this game? Because we're just, on one hand, I'm saying we need to establish a pairing and keep with them. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if it's a 4, I think I'd go with Bagan and Fish. If it's a 3, I think I'd go with those 2 and NG. I think it's harsh. As much as I really want to see Dylan Lawler, I don't think it's the right time. It's not fair. Even though I actually think if you put him in, he'll just take it in his stride and probably have a good game and probably take to it like a duck to water and probably end up making the place his own. I just think it's not the right time. Give him bits and pieces here and there. And then, come towards the end of the season and we're safe, then you can give him some starts ready for next year. I feel like we've got to get the midfield combinations right so that we can retain the ball a little bit better and then release the attacking players to hit teams fast. I would love to see Cardiff move the ball quicker. I really would love to see us move the ball a bit quicker and just be a bit more aggressive in the way we do it. We brought on Ashford, we brought on Robertson, Fish, Alves yesterday. I think they're probably the subs I would have made, unless you were going to chuck in a little young lad like Mafiko or, is maybe Willock. But I think Robertson and Ashford and Alves have probably got a good shout that you bring them on before Willock to try and create something. So on the switch into 3, did it cost us yesterday? I can see why, or what the thinking was to switch to the 3 centre backs and try and get some numbers further up the field, create a bit of an overload in the middle, and then try and hit them and put them under pressure and pin them back. But it didn't feel like that happened. What it actually felt like is it felt like we went 5 at the back, but we were we went 5 at the back at 1-1. They scored on 77. But when we did it against Bristol, when we had the impetus and we had the advantage in that game, we were all over Bristol. And then we switched to 5 at the back and we just handed the impetus and the momentum back to them in the game. Did we do that yesterday when we switched to that sort of 5 at the back and maybe gave Sunderland a bit of a lift because they thought, they will, they're happy for a draw? It's really tricky. And all of a sudden, off the back of these 2 results, like Omar Riza is under a lot of pressure now, I think. Because if we do go and lose these 2 games on Tuesday and Saturday, you go into that international break, and international break is always a difficult and dangerous time for a manager. I think it would be such a risky decision to suddenly change managers with a little bit of the season to go, especially when the players are quite clearly with Omar Riza. It's very, very strange. But I do think, unfortunately, because of the way Cardiff is run, it's very much a reality that if we were to lose against Luton and then lose at Blackburn on Saturday, that you've got the Sheffield Wednesday game, and then I think it's the international break, isn't it? But I'm not sure. I might get that wrong about the international break. But my point is, I don't understand, or I can't understand the logic between even possibly thinking about changing the manager now. But just because I don't understand the logic, maybe other people think we should, and we should go with someone experienced to finish the season. But I just think it's the wrong time. The wrong time to even be considering any sort of managerial change. I think Omar Riza has shown enough under real difficult circumstances to, he's at least deserves till the summer, if not longer. My one kind of devil's advocate to that is, you look at this squad, right? You look at the squads that Cardiff City have, and it is far better than 21st in the Championship. Not only are we far better than 21st in the Championship, but you have to ask that question. If they'd gone with a different manager and coaches and stuff when they changed the manager, when Errol Bullock left, would we be in a different situation? And I'm not convinced that we would be. Do I think we should have got someone with Omar Riza or to help Omar Riza? Yeah, I said that all along, that he needed someone either very experienced or someone who was a bit of a tactical genius, like a bit of a maverick in terms of coaching, to help him bounce ideas off and kind of go with the different things. I think it would be remarkable if Cardiff were to get rid of Omar Riza before the end of the season. But I also think, and I'm fairly certain when I say it, that there's every chance they could if results were to go badly over the next month. It's as simple as that. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying I think it's the right thing. I think it's a preposterous decision. I actually think that he's shown enough that as long as we're safe and that, I would at the very least be considering him to carry on. As I said earlier, I wouldn't make my kind of full adjudication, if you like, or whether I would want him to stay long term or not. I think by and large, the majority of what he's offered and what he's shown has been positive. I think the way he conducts himself is exemplary. I think he wants the best for the players. He wants the best for the club. I just think that, unfortunately, off the field, Cardiff City is an absolute fucking shambles. And it's such a difficult job. And when you come in with 1 point and 1 goal, it was always going to be an uphill struggle unless we just suddenly clicked into gear when he came in, which I was kind of, I go back. I was hopeful that, if we got the right manager in, whether that was Riza or someone else, that with this squad, we would click into gear and we'd, finish the season sort of mid-table. It didn't happen. I still think there's 3 teams worse than us in this league. Stoke are on a downward slope, which has been, is good for us. But what Cardiff have to do is they have to make sure that they don't lose in the next 7 days. I would take 4 points from the next 2. They have to beat Luton. There can be no excuses. The performance doesn't matter. They just have to find a way by hook or crook. And it's such a shame because if we'd got against Burnley, I really felt like if we'd got a goal around the 70-minute mark, I felt like we'd go on and win it. That's how impressed I was by the performance. I thought it was a real good second half performance. And the one thing with me, and maybe like some people will like it, some people won't, is one thing with me is what you won't get is like this emotional, like ranting and raving about, oh, we're shit, sack the manager, this. I try to be fair and I try to look at it with like a clear head. And ultimately, I want what's best for Cardiff City and I want us to be successful. But I'm also just not going to, I don't know, like go off on one. I will go off on one if I feel like it. But I'm not going to just do it every weekend, every time we don't have the result that we want, just to, create clicks or whatever. It's just like preposterous to me. Look, I see some people on social media who go from one extreme to the other. Before the Burnley game, they're like, oh, Maurice's building. He's definitely the one for next year. Post Burnley, they're like, he's out of his depth. He's shit. And it's like, fucking hell, mate. Just relax, like, just chill and, like, just let things breathe a little bit. Like, 2 things can be true at the same time. Like, it's not always just black and white. Like, there's a bit of nuance to some of this stuff. And do I think yesterday's result is on Omar Riza? Well, ultimately, Omar Riza picks the team. Ultimately, Omar Riza decides the tactics and he makes the subs. So ultimately, every result is on him. Do I think switching to 3 at the back cost us the game? I don't necessarily think it cost us the points. But what I do think is it didn't help us in the way that it was meant to. And I will say, I can understand tactically what he was trying to do, I think. Again, I'm guessing. Like I don't know for sure that that's what he was trying to do. I'm guessing that's what he was trying to do. It just didn't work. And it actually ended up probably having the opposite effect. And it's interesting because in my son's game yesterday, we did exactly the same thing in the second half. We went 3 at the back because we wanted to push on a little bit. And it had a similar effect. They got around the side of us a little bit, so we switched back. It's one of them. Like, obviously, it's very, very different standards of football. It was just coincidence that it happened. But as I said, when I kind of did the opening of the show, you cannot blame Omar Riza for individual mistakes. What you can hold him to account for, or what you can question, is the personnel decisions. Now, just looking very quickly at the comments there's a few people who kind of agreed with me that Gutas probably could have done with being rotated or rested or dropped, whatever you want to say, a couple of games ago. And Will Fish, because of his form, probably deserved to start the last couple of games. Now, that's our opinion. Other people may have a different opinion on that. The manager and the coaches watch them every day. There may be a reason. I don't know what the reason could be, but there may be a reason. So, look, if you're here for a big old rant, you're not going to get that from me today. Antonio Stario says, Si, from your point of view, what is the sole problem? So, bring that back up, sorry. What is the sole problem? If you could bring one player back from the past to fix this, who would it be? Now, that's interesting. That is an interesting one. Could you give me a minute or two to think about that? And I'll have a little think. And I'll come back to that, mate. I just look at the end of the day, right? No, there's so much nuance to all this different stuff. Like, yes, I think he's got some things wrong. Yes, what he tried to do yesterday didn't work. Does that mean that he's suddenly not the right guy for the job? No. Does winning the South Wales Derby comprehensively suddenly make him the right man for the job? No. You have to look at it as a whole. At the moment, the players want to play for him. I think he's doing a decent job under difficult circumstances. I don't think he's doing an amazing job. I don't think he's doing a terrible job. I think he's doing a decent job under very difficult circumstances. There's a lot of pressure on every single game. And I think he's being let down by his defenders a little bit. Like, I cannot fathom the amount of defensive brain farts that we've had in the last 3 to 6 months. Never seen anything like it. The ball watching, mate, on Tuesday and yesterday, but particularly against Burnley, was just unreal. That's nothing but concentration and focus. And that's in the first half. It's just, it fries my brain. It really does, because, you know, and I said this the other week, or the other month it was, when Perry was having real poor form, and we kept getting done on that behind, like him just switching off, and he was getting people in behind him. And I was like, he's such an experienced defender, and he's such a good defender. Why is he making those concentration? Like, why is he switching off? And I look at, you know, all right, Joe Bagan is a young player. You can accept. I think he got in his own head a little bit. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just hypothesizing. But like Gutas, NG, O'Dowda, they're all super experienced, and they all just switched off. The two biggest changes I would like to see from us, generally speaking, is I'd like to see us be aggressive, much more aggressive in the way we press, home and away. Because whenever we press, we look dangerous, we win the ball back high up, and we look like a team who could cause other teams problems. And I would like to see us move the ball quicker from the off. I would like to see us start. I would like to see us not take 60 minutes to start playing. Like, we are slow starters. I would just like to see us move the ball quicker, start more aggressive, and press more aggressive. And I think that would make a massive difference to how we play. But if you listen to what Omar Riza says he wants to go all out attack. He likes to play with pace. He likes to play with width, and he likes to press high. So if the manager wants to play like that, and he's saying that's how we're going to play, But then when the games come around, we don't see that, or we don't see that consistently. We only see it in glimpses. Is that on the manager? Or is that on the players not being able to implement what the manager wants? Are the players not good enough to do it? I don't know. Or is it a fitness thing, which I think is quite obvious that we don't seem to be as fit as some past City teams I've seen. And what I hate about the way we press is when we press, we win the ball and we cause teams problems. You know, you look at the Burnley game. When we pressed Burnley, they were giving the ball away. They were putting it out for a throw in. They would, you know, simple passes going awry, winning the ball back. It's frustrating because you think, well, why can't we do that? I'm not saying like it's impossible to press for 90 minutes consistent. It's just impossible. They're human beings, not robots. But could we do it more regularly throughout games? Then yeah, I really believe we can. But what I really hate is the way we sit in and we just cover the space. And I get it, like you be compact and you try and make yourself difficult to play through and all these things. Like I get it, but I said it a month ago. I look at this team and I think our best form of defense is attack, because defensively, for whatever reason, and I don't really understand it, because you look at our coaching staff and we've got Darren Pearce, who, you know, is one of the a central defender who played at the top level, you know, a leader, a really good ball playing centre back who was also defensively excellent, and Richard Shaw, who played at the top level, played right back, played centre back, defensively solid, good ball player. So again, you've got two central defenders who played Premier League football. Why are we not able to, or why are we still making the same mistakes? I don't know. I do think there's got to be some tweaks to it. I don't think we need to tear it all up and sack the manager and drop all the players. I think we just need to make a couple of tweaks. I think he's trying to work out his best team still, which is also a problem. And it kind of is one of them, isn't it? But let's have a look at what some of the comments are saying. Martin says the players are just not good enough to go on a winning run to take us clear of the relegation dogfight. But mate, whilst on the evidence, it's difficult to disagree. Of course it is. If you look at the players individually, there's not many like players in that squad who are like, you're like, not the best. Like, there's some good footballers in there, some experienced footballers in there. So why have we not been able to put that run together to go and take us away from the relegation zone? Reese says, I saw today Pompey played a press against Leeds, gave him no time on the ball. Why are we so passive? We allow teams so much time and space, and one pass kills us. We only press for 70 minutes. We don't press till the last half hour. And it's strange, isn't it? Because even though we don't press, we always get killed by one line-breaking pass through the middle of the pitch. Portsmouth wanted that today. They went and won that football match by fighting for every ball and not giving Leeds a second. And that's what I want to see from Cardiff against Luton on Tuesday. Got to start fast and aggressive. Do not let Luton settle. If ever there's a game to start and be in their face and smash into them in the first 30 seconds and get control of the game and get control of the football and implement your game on them, not let them settle for 20 minutes, that's the game. It's a must-win game. So go win it. You've got the players to do it. Go win it. No excuses for me. They should go and beat Luton, and they should go and beat them comfortably, because we have the players. They're all capable of doing it. So go do it. It's easy to say. go do it. Paul says, Riza says it all, but I just don't see it. Yeah, I saw a few people saying that, like they like what he says, but they don't see it implemented on the pitch. But again, I'd ask, is that on the players or the manager? I don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other. Evan says it's on the manager because he isn't getting his message across. Drop players who don't listen and implement it. Yeah, and that was my point. I forget what it was now. But I think it was the Leeds game when just before Bullock got sacked, when we were literally like retreating 30, 40 yards instead of pressing. And I said, like, there's clearly an instruction from the manager and his coaches, because he wasn't screaming at them to press or to do this or to do that. He's obviously happy with it. So I accept that. Yeah. Graham says our play and our passing was predictable. You could see Sunderland players move across before it was passed. Yeah. And we do it too slow, mate. We don't move the ball quick enough. We refuse to put crosses in the box when we've got a striker who's shown time and time again already that if you put the ball in the box, he not only will get on the end of it, but he will hit the target and he will score goals. But we're still reluctant to put the ball in. I understand not wanting to lump the ball into the area and just hit and hope, but like when you've worked a good position, just whip it in. Got bloody Salic, who's good in the air. You've got Robinson's, who's a great finisher, and you've got Ruben, who's a big lad. Put the ball in the box. Reece says we don't cross the ball enough. We seem to be scared to put the ball in the box. We get it wide. We stop, cut back, and look inside to go along the front of the box. Yeah, it is frustrating, mate, because what makes it even more frustrating is we've actually got some really good crosses of the ball in NG, O'Dowda, Ashford, Ramsey. People, like, they're all real good at delivering the ball. We can't manage a decent throw-in, says Martin. Set pieces are doing my head in. I don't know what we're doing on corners, but we need to address it quickly. Attacking corners. Eric says none of the last 3 defeats, including Villa, were unexpected. They're better sides, but I do worry having one after another will damage the confidence. Certainly keeps pressure on for the Luton game. Yeah, and that's a great point, Eric. Is on paper, realistically, how many of us were expecting to go and beat Villa? We're expecting to go and beat Burnley. We're expecting to go and beat Sunderland. Being realistic, I mean, last week I literally said I'd be happy if we could take 2 points from Burnley and Sunderland. We lost. We didn't get stuffed. We didn't get absolutely spanked. We came away from both games disappointed that we didn't get at least a draw. So maybe like that's a difference, isn't it, than earlier in the season? But that doesn't count for shit. Ultimately, you got to get the points on the board. You got to get the results by hook or crook at this stage of the season. Jamie says, seen it all before. Talk the squad into a plan, walk on the pitch, and it changes. Yeah, it's frustrating. Reece says, wasn't expecting anything from the last 3 games, and we've done okay in all 3. Yeah, I agree with that. If we go down, it'll be catastrophic for Cardiff City. Robert Hughes says, this Cardiff side make average teams look good when they play us. It's in your hands, Cardiff. As fans can only sit and watch, cross our fingers and hope for a result. Yeah, and it's frustrating, Robert, because I say it again, you look at this squad and you go through individually, and we've either got young players who've got a hell of an upside or experienced players who have been there, done it, and are good footballers. So there's a disconnect somewhere. And I stand by what I said last week. At some point, we're going to go and give someone, probably someone who we're not expected to, an absolute pasting. I just hope that it's not too late. I genuinely think if we go out against Luton and we are aggressive from the first minute and we move the ball quickly and we get the right personnel on the pitch from the start, we could go and run over Luton. I believe that with all my heart. My worry is that we go in there anxious, we go in there slow and passive in the way we press, we move the ball slowly, we're trying to hit them on the break instead of implementing how we want to play on them, and then it becomes a very tight game. So I'd really like to see us go and win the football match. Like, I would really like to go and see us go and win it, and just take the pressure off, go and get some early goals, and just go for it. That's interesting. Get to that, Reese, in a minute. Martin says, our best run of the season happened when we selected 3 footballers in midfield. Yeah. You do need a battler in there. Like, you need that physical presence. And I think that's why Mansverk's probably the best option for that role, because he's got the physical side down, but he's also good on the ball. Alex says, just imagine Riza shows a video of Pompey versus Leeds in that dressing room. Reese says, I believe there's a culture within a playing group that just don't care, and this summer a good few will leave. Interesting, mate. Reese Lasky says, to be fair, when he first came in, that midfield of Turnbull, Robertson and Ruben were pressing and playing attacking football, and he's been without all of them for periods. Yeah. Jonathan says, what is going on with the goal kicks? Yeah. No, I think that's not quite right. Martin says he wasn't brave enough to stick with those 3 in midfield. Turnbull got injured, didn't he? I do slightly question the decision to play Robertson ahead of Ruben. I would like to see them both on the pitch, but I wouldn't be against Robertson for depending on what the game is. So sometimes you might want Robertson in the 10 to go and press and Ruben in the 8. And then other games you might want Ruben in the 8 and Robertson in the 8. Ruben in the 10 and Robertson in the 8. I'm okay with that. Turnbull, the thing I really like about Turnbull is he always looks to move the ball forward and break the lines. And that's what Ramsey does as well. Ramsey's a very clever footballer, though. Reese says, when we crossed it against Burnley, Salich hit the post, the bar, Lawler inches away from scoring. Salich did score 1, and then we cut back inside and overplay and lose the ball. Yeah, we got to get the ball in the box. I just want to see us move the ball quicker. Antonio says, what's your opinion on Chris Rigg? Is he going to be an England international? Not sure about that, mate. I'd be lying if I've seen like loads of him. I've only seen him play like a couple of times. He's had a couple of injuries, haven't he, already? But look, technically he's excellent. 17, like, do you know what I mean? Like, to be as good as he is, and to get the minutes and the figures that he's got. And this is one thing I don't understand with other clubs. They play their young players. They throw them in. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I don't know. I sometimes wish Cardiff would give their young players more opportunities to play first team football, and we'd be brave enough to play them. I don't think now's the time, by the way, to chuck Lawler in and Giles in, and, you know, unless you have to. But I don't think they'd let you down. I just don't think it's fair to them. Graham says, not seen a 90-minute performance yet. Even the Swansea game, we didn't play until 10 minutes. And 10 minutes before half time. You're right there, mate. It does feel like that. The Plymouth game was a pretty comprehensive performance, wasn't it? Burnley were... Reese texted me during the game. on Tuesday against Burnley, and we said like 70 minutes they were there for the taking, and we just needed to get that one. And we were just a bit, even in the good performance, we just weren't quite good enough, or weren't quite moving the quick enough. Weren't quite moving the ball quick enough. Sorry. Jamie says, is Alves fit enough to start Tuesday? Bloody hope so, mate. So let me ask you a question. Every single player on Cardiff's books is fit. What's your best 11? Drop it in the comments after the show as well. Like, what's your best? If everyone's fit, what's your best 11? Because it's really, really interesting. Reese Lasky says, Mansverk, Ramsey and Ruben in midfield with Ashford and Alves wide, Salic through the middle, Robinson and Robbo on the bench to make an impact. It's mad, mate, right? How Robertson, since his injury, people seem to have forgotten how influential he was for us. Not saying you, I just mean generally speaking. Evan says, I disagree about not playing Lawler. We need to let go of the idea that players are too young. Lawler made his debut against Villa and he was superb, put his body on the line, and we severely lack that. I don't disagree with you, mate. And as I was just saying then, I wish we'd play our young players more and trust them. In his case, I think I said earlier on in the show, if we played him, like say we went with him and Fish or him and Bagan or something in centre-backs, or we played 3 and him, Fish and Bagan, I think he would go and be exceptional, and I think he'd take it in his stride. He just seems like that sort of kid lad who would just take it in his stride. I just think it's unfair, the situation that we're in, to put that pressure on him. But equally, I think the fans and everyone would... I said this under Bullet. You have this opportunity, right, when you name your side, particularly in a home game. You name your 11 and it comes out an hour before kickoff. You have an opportunity when you name your side to get the crowd excited and lift them before it's even started. Now, you can't tell me on Tuesday, we're waiting in the ground and we're like, yeah, right, I wonder what team he's going to name. Massive game tonight. We're all nervous. And then it's like, right, the team is Bagan, Fish, Lawler, Giles, Ashford as your wing backs, and I don't know, whatever, Rube. But my point being, if the fans see those attacking, those young players in the side, they're automatically up for it. Then in the first minute, Mansverk goes and wins the ball high up and flattens someone. The crowd's up then. You're 2 minutes into the game. The crowd's with you and the crowd is there. Go and get an early goal. The crowd is bouncing. And Luton are under pressure because they've got to win. They've got to make, or they've at least got to not lose. And they're 1-0 down after 20 minutes. The crowd's bouncing and Cardiff are flying. And you've got these young, fearless players going for it. It's of course, is a thin line. And the one thing I would say about Omar Riza is he knows how to deal with and manage young footballers and how to manage expectations and their personalities and stuff like that. But I do wish that Cardiff as a football club would be braver in giving the young lads first team, trusting them for first team opportunities. I wonder, like, let's have a look. Martin says, so if everyone's fit, Martin says, Alnwick, NG, Fish, Darland, Bagan, Mansverk, Robertson, Colwell, Ashford, Salic, Davis. So that is really interesting, mate. I don't disagree with a lot of it. I tell you one thing, it's a really exciting team. Technically good footballers, young. I like it. Let's have a look. What else we got? Evan says, best 11 if everyone's fit. Alnwick, Rena Mota, Fish, Bagan, Callum O'Dowda, Mansverk, Colwell, Robertson, Salic, Robertson, Tanner, honourable mention, Kanga. Fucking right. Kanga should have a statue. That's what I say. Do you know what, right? and this is fucking mental to me, by the way, is I saw someone yesterday on Twitter saying Rinamoto has been poor. We should get rid of him in the summer. And he's been dreadful since before Christmas. And I was like, wow. Like, I'm all for everyone having an opinion and, just different opinions. And, we all see things differently. I get that. And we all voice it differently as well. And we all process thoughts differently. Wicked, cracking. But I just don't see how you can say that. I think he's looked mentally tired the last few games that he played. But overall, O'Dowda and Rinamoto have been standout above everyone else in attitude, application, and performance levels. Jonathan's, if everyone's fit, NG, Gutas, Darland, O'Dowda, Chambers, Robertson, Colwell, Tanner, Salic, Alves. Interesting that you got Gutas in there, mate. But again, don't disagree with it. Graham says Bagan's done well. Don't forget your boots. Antonio says Alnwick, Darland, Fish, NG as his 3 centre-backs. Bagan left wing-back. O'Dowda right wing-back. Centre midfield, Turnbull and Robertson. Ramsey in the 10. Salic and Robinson up front. Interesting, mate. Paul says, Si, would you move the back 4 up 20 yards? I find they sit way too deep. Don't look like opponents get caught offside. It depends who's... Sorry. Depends who's the back 4, mate. Because I think if you play a high line, you've got to have at least one player in there who's nippy. O'Dowda's relatively quick, but he's the one out of the 4 which pushes quite high up, so he's not going to be in the line as much. I don't disagree with it. I just would like to see us squeeze up a little bit more generally. I would like to see, if Lawler gets a few games towards the end of a season, and we even see a Lawler, Darland centre-back pairing at some point, I'd like to see one of them push up a bit and jump into the midfield to try win the ball up high. But that's not something for now. That's something for... Alex says he feels bad for certain people who've got that Kanga shirt. If anyone's got a Kanga shirt, which they don't want, and they want to give it to me, I'm happy. Right. Last couple before we go. Lawler's quick. Yeah, and I think Lawler, if you've got Lawler in the back 4, that gives you that option to push a bit higher. Lawler's just long-term. It's an exciting player. Martin says, I wonder if the contract situation has had an effect on Guterres. I don't know if it's that, mate. I think it's... I wouldn't like to speculate, mate, but I think he had a family member who wasn't very well, didn't he? And he came over here with Psyopis. Psyopis is gone. Not to say he hasn't got no friends in the squad. I'm sure he's friendly with everyone, but it's difficult, isn't it? Oh, if we put in a terrible performance on Tuesday, you might see that rant, though. Because to me, it's must win. There's no excuse. We have the players to go out and smash Luton. We have the footballers. Luton are in fucking awful form. Terrible football team at the moment. So go and win the football match. But you do that by being aggressive. So what I would like to see is I would like to see Cardiff go and make a point. I'd like to see Omar. Do you know what? I would like for Omar Riza as well, because I like him. I would like to see him. For him, I would like to see us put a performance on Tuesday and go and beat Luton comprehensively, so people just stop giving him shit. Because people are unrealistic in what they expect, in my opinion. Should we expect more from this team? Yes. Should we expect more from some of these players? Yeah, definitely. But for years, people wanted a young manager, and now they're fucking moaning because they got a young manager. They're never going to be happy. So, but I welcome all opinions as long as you can voice it in a respectful manner and you're not being a knob. I'm happy. I will say, if you want to do me a favor and help me out a little bit, if you want to go and have a look at awayDayApparel.co.uk, you can use the code CCFCWorld and get yourself a little discount as well. And they got a range of t-shirts, hoodies, and jumpers and stuff. Some nice stuff on there. Club colors and stuff like that. Some good stuff. Code CCFCWorld, and get yourself a little discount. I've actually got an Away Day Apparel t-shirt on at the moment, which says "Stolen from the poor, exploited by the rich." Indeed. Right, guys, it's been a pleasure as always. I feel like quite therapeutic that I've talked through it all this evening with you. I can't go on the message boards, mate, because, and not any particular message board, by the way. It's just message boards generally. Just they make me miserable. Like, I'm upset enough about where Cardiff are in the league, and I'm frustrated enough about where we are and stuff. Like, I can't then go and get just not only it, having it. Just can't do it. But there we go. Appreciate you all. Tomorrow night we got a Cardiff City phone in from 7 with a new panel of fans. What else will we have? We'll have a preview tomorrow for the Luton game. Don't think there'll be a player ratings video just because of time and things. And we've got a preview as well. But you got the phone in and the preview tomorrow. What else we got? Tuesday night we'll have late night reaction. I think, why not? Let's do a late night live. It'll either be a rant or it'll be a happy one way or the other. Wednesday got a radio show. Got some cracking guests. Absolutely spectacular cracking guests, actually. So it's loads of content this week. Member show tomorrow 9 o'clock as well. Don't forget that. If you are a member. If you're not a member, please do become one. Appreciate you all. Make sure you're subscribed and liked and all that good stuff. We're nearly up to 1,000 subscribers, which is good. Building the foundations. Got lots of exciting things coming up this week. Take care. Keep the faith, my friends. The Blues are staying up.